Well, good afternoon, everyone. Nice to be with you. Nice to see so many people here. Glad to take this off. It's really a great day for a celebration. And in my mind, that's exactly what this is. For me, it's a celebration of hope and optimism about the future of the school, with which, now listen to this, with which we are all associated. And I ask you to listen to that because I want the English faculty and Marty, as an former English major, to note that I did not end a sentence in a preposition. Thanks to my SEM grammar lessons. Let's get started. My name is Tony Berger, and it's truly a pleasure to be here with you. My role is to guide you through this installation ceremony. So on behalf of Board Chair John Dowd and the entire board, I'm pleased to welcome you all to this truly important occasion as we install the 15th head of school in the 180-year history of Wyoming Seminary. So we begin with an invitation. Please rise for the singing of the national anthem by the Bell Tower Brass Band. Following the national anthem, please remain standing for the invocation by Charles Carrick, chaplain of Wyoming Seminary.
Will you join with me in a time of prayer as we invite God to be present with us and to us? Let us pray. Gracious God, when you delivered the Israelites from bondage, you walked before them as a pillar of fire by night and a pillar of cloud by day. You guided their footsteps in their journey to the promised land. For 181 years, you have walked before us as this institution has been about equipping young people to be servant leaders in this your world. For this, we give you thanks and praise. We gather this day to celebrate the milestone of a new president of Wyoming Seminary. We give you thanks for Marty Mooney and his family and ask your blessing be upon them. As you have in the past, we beseech you that your spirit of wisdom and understanding be upon Marty as he leads us into the future. Guide and direct his steps, we pray, that we may continue to be an institution that makes a difference in the lives of young people and instills in them a desire to love and pursue all things in life that are true, beautiful, and good. Amen. Please be seated.
So, all of you joining us today obviously are the most important members of the SEM community. certainly the dedicated faculty and staff that make SEM the special place that it truly is. Many generous alumni, friends, and supporters of the school, community leaders, importantly, the families who entrust us with the education and guidance of their children, and maybe most important of all, the students who, after your experience here, we hope will be prepared to lead lives of integrity, purpose, and excellence, which are the cornerstones of our newly articulated mission statement. I think we're all here because at some level we inherently subscribe to Benjamin Franklin's assertion that I came across recently, and that is an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. And we have all certainly made investments of one sort or another in Wyoming Seminary. So on to some of our guest speakers. The arrival of any new leader is a pivotal moment, but today's occasion feels, to me, especially significant as we welcome Marty and Danny Mooney into our community. Our ties to this institution are often deep and multi-generational. Students, parents, grandparents, alumni, trustees, and staff have all played a role in the school's rich history. As we gather today to celebrate this historic milestone, it's only right that we hear from those who form the foundation of this school. So with that, our first speaker is Chi Ebi Equiozo, a senior from Ontario, Canada. She's a model STEM student. She earned high honors as a junior while also playing basketball, running track, and dancing. She is serving this year as a Levi Sprague Fellow, one of 5 students selected for this fellowship. This honor, named for Dr. Levi Sprague, Wyoming Seminary's president from 1842 until 1936, as you probably know, is SEM's highest student leadership award. Chi's selection as a Levi Sprague Fellow is a testament to her demonstrated commitment and dedication to SEM, but also, very importantly, a vote of confidence that she'll continue making extraordinary contributions in her final year here and beyond. Please join me in warmly welcoming Chi.
When Mr. Mooney initially reached out to me while I was back in Canada on the bus on my way home from an 8-hour shift working with kindergarteners at a church and asked if I would speak at his installation, I was first honored, then immediately terrified because I had no idea what an installation was, let alone what I would say or how I would say it, so we'll see how this goes. Mr. Mooney joined SEM in May 2023. And in his short time, he has made a tremendous impact in our community. I remember the first time I met Mr. Mooney. I had seen him around campus, and I knew who he was, but I had never really gotten the opportunity to speak with him until one day in the dining hall during dinner. I don't remember what was said, but I do remember how I felt. I felt seen, and I felt welcome, and I knew that we were on the right track with him as our new head of school. From that day forward, every time I saw Mr. Mooney, I was greeted with a smile, followed by a, "How are things going, Chi?" When he first arrived at SEM, he seemed to be everywhere, doing everything. And I mean everywhere. Whether it was joining us during dinner in the dining hall, in the stands during football games or wrestling duels, driving the van for ski trips, or simply just passing by on a walk with his dog. He was a noticeable and welcoming presence on campus. And things like this made a difference. It made me feel right at home, because how many students see their administrators, let alone the head of their school, go out of his or her way to get to know their students? Mr. Mooney's not some unseen disciplinarian. He interacts with his students. He knows us, and that's special. In such a short time, he has accomplished so much and continues to do such an amazing job at embodying STEM spirit by showing his pride in being a part of our community every single day. Mr. Mooney truly is the true, the beautiful, and the good. So as we move forward in the celebration, I want to encourage all of you to model Mr. Mooney's dedication to our school. STEM is full of possibilities. It's full of people worth knowing and opportunities to seize. Regardless of who you are, what you do, or what your interests are, there's something for everyone here. Trust me, I know. Mr. Mooney, thank you. Thank you for all you have done. Thank you so much for making STEM feel like a home away from home for so many students, me especially. And thank you in advance for all that you will continue to do as our new head of school. Today, we celebrate you. Thank you.
Wow, well done. Gee, thank you. How many of us? You can stop now, Tony. You know, right. We're at, that's it. It's all A's from here on, and it's done. How many of us would have been brave enough to stand up here and do that? I think the only thing she's done that apparently is a little braver than that is riding in a van with Marty driving. Mom, I know you're out there somewhere. I can't see the audience, but you should be very proud. Next is Ms. Kate Mercado, who understands, as well as anyone, the value of a STEM education. Kate earned her Juris Doctor degree from the Penn State Dickinson School of Law and went on to practice at a firm in Iowa where she specialized in the complex world of real estate law. Kate returned home to northeastern Pennsylvania to raise her son, Robbie, who can't be with us today, now in 10th grade at the upper school. Kate began working at SEM in 2017 with the admissions department, and she now teaches 4th grade at the lower school, is a dorm parent at the upper school's Swetland Hall. Please join me in welcoming Kate.
Before I begin, I have to say that seeing my students behind me is the biggest confidence boost I could ask for today. Their smiling faces are really reassuring. Vice Chairman Berger, members of the Board of Trustees, honored guests, colleagues, and students, I am honored to welcome our 15th head of school, Mr. Martin Mooney, his wife, Danny, and their 3 children on behalf of the faculty and staff of Wyoming Seminary. It is certainly an honor to be asked to represent my colleagues, mentors, and friends today to offer words of welcome. But more so, this opportunity allows me to share my gratitude and appreciation for the ways our community champions each member. Today, as every day, we express our assurance that we will work together to uphold our community values and endeavor to develop all that is true, beautiful, and good in one another. We have all gathered here today, united in support of Mr. Mooney's leadership at the start of our 181st school year. As we articulate in our code of conduct, we are a community bonded in our mission to become better versions of ourselves. And as such, we at SEM show up. And indeed we do, as our faculty, staff, and students can attest. Today, at the conclusion of the second week of the school year, let us reflect on the ways we have all shown up for each other. In the classrooms, in the dormitories, on the fields, on stage, and in broader service to our community as well. Together, we have shared the honor of not only showing up, but striving each day to learn more about each other, to foster the true connections that create the foundation for teaching and learning at Wyoming Seminary. At the start of the school year, we are marveling at the ways our students welcome new community members, listening to them describe their summer experiences, tuning in to discern their goals and perhaps how they've changed, and planning our path to contribute to their achievement. To be sure, we are showing up, but more so, we are actively engaged in discovering more about the students in our care. When Mr. Mooney was a candidate for his position, He visited my 4th grade classroom at our lower school and observed my students engaged in small group peer editing work, the culmination of a writing project that they were very eager to share. Very eager that day, yes. With encouragement, one of my students excitedly explained the project to Mr. Mooney and then stopped mid-sentence to declare, "You sure are tall." Without hesitation, Mr. Mooney knelt down to meet the gaze of my 9-year-old student and said with a smile, "So are you. Now tell me more." Each of us, teachers, coaches, parents, and mentors, knows the spark that this simple gesture ignited in my student's eyes. At that moment, he knew that Mr. Mooney truly wanted to learn more about his project and ultimately more about him. On the first day of the school year, during our upper school convocation, Mr. Mooney shared his plan to help our students tell their story, to share their values, beliefs, hopes, and experiences with our community, and find ways to develop their voices on campus and beyond. Ultimately, he pledged to be present for each of our students, inviting them to meet with him and offering his help. That simple remark models the curiosity we hope to develop in our students. Mr. Mooney does not assume an understanding of each student's experiences, but rather communicates an openness to learn, affording them an opportunity to share the previous chapters of their lives as they prepare to write a new one at Wyoming Seminary. In his articulation of this goal, Mr. Mooney is reinforcing the hallmark passion for lifelong learning that drives our work as educators at Wyoming Seminary. Our head of the lower school, Dr. Hanlon, and head of the upper school, Mrs. Bartron, reinforced this message and our collective goals in our opening meetings this year. At Wyoming Seminary, we understand that curiosity is the spark that ignites the flame of learning and drives our students to ask questions, seek answers, and engage deeply with the world around them. And it is this curiosity that also propels each of us to question, innovate, explore, and work to become better versions of ourselves. As a teacher at our lower school, I am also an eager student, grateful for the many ways each of you generously shares your research, new teaching technologies, and the ways you've adapted to the evolving needs of our students. You readily offer your classrooms for my observation, you refine your curriculum plans and practices, and share your depth of experience. You've encouraged me to be creative, offered your mentorship, and granted me the confidence to try new approaches in my classroom. Moreover, you've celebrated the joy we have found in teaching and learning together. I know how it feels to be in your classroom, in your care, and I appreciate your talent for teaching, your boundless patience, and most of all, your presence in our students' lives. As a dorm parent at our upper school, I collaborate with a team that strives to learn about our students' home cultures, traditions, and values. We model the simple questions that our residents can ask and should ask each other as they learn to live together in a dormitory community. Our curiosity may seem simple at first, beginning with help to pronounce each other's names, though this is the vulnerability that is vital to authentic learning. When we ask for help or a prompt to recall over 150 boarding students' names in the first weekend check-ins, our students witness our eagerness to learn. When we ask for reminders about their preferences, assess their comfort, and adjust our norms to align with their experiences, we demonstrate the prerequisite steps for learning achievement. I'm candid with my students in the classroom and in residence. We all have so much more to discover, and we are fortunate to find ourselves gathered together at this time and place to do just that. Our students are informed each day through our conversations with them and with each other as we model the mindset required for authentic scholarship. Each time we demonstrate our eagerness to learn from each other, we set our community on a path toward a love of lifelong learning. There certainly is no mastery in the art of teaching, only a willingness to be open to learning more. Mr. Mooney, on behalf of the faculty of Wyoming Seminary, we extend a warm welcome to you and your family. We are grateful that you have found a home here, and we look forward to many years of writing a new chapter of the Wyoming Seminary story together.
Thank you, Kate. Obviously, we're very fortunate to have someone like you on the team. It's now my pleasure to introduce select singers from both the lower and upper school music ensembles. The lower school singers are under the direction of Mrs. Patricia Pisciotti, while Dr. Daniel Hall directs the upper school singers. They will perform We Are the Stars and are accompanied by the Bell Tower Brass Band under the direction of Mr. Tyler Harvey, class of 2013.
We are all the stars. We are all the stars. We are all the stars in one sky. Like the waves of one sea, like the leaves of one tree, we are all the stars. We are all the stars. We are all the stars. We are all the stars in one sky, in one sky. Many flowers in one garden grow, and a mountain's made of many stones. Each of us can shine, each of us can shine in the sky that's yours and mine. We are all the stars. We are all the stars. We are all the stars in one sky, one sky. We are all the stars. We are all the stars. We are all the stars in one sky, in one sky. Like the waves of one sea, like the leaves of one tree, we are all the
Thank you. That was beautiful. Before we introduce our guest speaker for this afternoon's ceremony, there are a few people I would like to recognize. First, it's my very distinct privilege to present Marty's wife, Danny. Danny, would you please stand? I can't see you, but I know you're out there somewhere. Marty and Danny have 3 children, and we're delighted to have each of them join us today to share in this special milestone for their dad. I ask that Catherine, Megan, and Harry please stand as well to be recognized. Thank you. Welcome you all to Northeastern Pennsylvania. I would also like to recognize 2 very important people in the life of Wyoming Seminary. Dr. Kathleen Hanlon, head of the lower school, and Mrs. Rachel Bartron, head of the upper school. Rachel and Kathy, again, I can't see you, but I know you're out there. Hi, Rachel and Kathy. On opposite sides. So, it's now my honor to welcome a great friend of the school and a friend to many of you in the audience, Mr. Jay Harvey. Jay is a 1980 Wyoming Seminary graduate and a longtime pillar in the SEM community, having taught and served as an administrator here for 37 years. In his time at SEM, he taught math and history, was the activities director, class dean, academic dean, and upper school division head, in addition to being a dorm parent for 8 years. I'm not sure what he did in his spare time. Jay is a graduate of Penn State University and subsequently earned a master's degree in education from Wilkes University. He is currently in his 4th year as Director of Accreditation for the Pennsylvania Association of Independent Schools. As a footnote, I would add, that's the body that accredits us, so please be nice to him. Jay and his wife, Judy, are the parents of 3 children, Bryn, Zach, and Tyler, all of whom also graduated from SEM. Judy and Jay are also the proud new grandparents of a grandson. Please join me in welcoming Jay to the podium.
Not only the body that accredits this school, but this year is their accreditation. So it's all coming together now why I was asked to be here. So members of the faculty and staff, trustees, friends and guests, and distinguished members of the platform party, how wonderful it is to be on the campus of Wyoming Seminary, an institution that poured into me and many members of my family for over 5 decades to celebrate this historic moment in its long and sustained history. It is great to be among so many former colleagues and, more importantly, really, really good friends. Marty has invited me to welcome and introduce today's principal speaker, fellow SEM class of 1980 graduate, Ray Cabot. Ray joined the SEM student body in 5th grade when his dad was hired to chair the English department. As a matter of fact, the Cabots lived for many years in the former townhouse complex that was situated on the ground we are currently sitting upon today. Our strong friendship was forged on the soccer field as we were together in the starting lineup from 7th grade through our senior years. That relationship was quite close as Ray played the role of defender, sweeper to be exact, in front of me while I was in goal during those 6 seasons. The large number 19 on the back of his jersey was always on guard just in front of me as we helped boys soccer to previously unattained levels of success at that early time in soccer in Wyoming Valley. In our junior years together, perhaps we loved music. Perhaps because we loved music, we began DJing for weekend dances in the Student Center. Not quite sure how that particular journey really ever began, but we became the Ray and Jay Show and played YMCA and Disco Inferno over and over and over again for the better part of 2 years. Upon graduation from SEM, Ray was known as society president, athlete, sports captain, cum laude student, outstanding graduate, and really, really smart and really, really friendly. I was known as Jay. From SEM, Ray moved on to Brown University where, in his inimitable overachiever style, he graduated in 3 years with a BA in American Civilization, an MA in Educational Administration with private school leadership as a Klingenstein Fellow would follow from the Teachers College at Columbia University. Upon graduating from Brown, Ray began his professional career at Harrisburg Academy as a history and English teacher and coach. And then in 1986, he began his remarkable, now 38-year career at the Petty School in Hightstown, New Jersey. At Petty, Ray began as a teacher, dorm parent, and coach, the revered and unfortunately quickly dying revered independent triple school threat. He was named the school's director of admission and financial aid in 2005, traveling the country and the world in search of the future Petty students. He had held that position until 2016, when he was named the assistant head of school for strategic planning. And in 2023, he returned to his admission post, and that is the position he holds today. While coaching girls soccer at Petty for 16 years, Ray's teams compiled an extraordinary 207 win, 62 loss, and 14 tie record and captured 9 independent school state championships. This run includes a remarkable 40-game unbeaten streak. In honor of these athletic accomplishments, Ray was inducted into the Wyoming Seminary Sports Hall of Fame in 2014 and the Petty Sports Hall of Fame in 2007. The Petty Girls Soccer Coaches Award bears his name. Ray and Marty formed a strong friendship as members of the Petty community and served on the leadership team together and worked together there for 20 years. Ray and his wife Amy, a member of the Petty advancement team, were campus neighbors of Marty and his wife Danny. It is this strong friendship that brings honored SEM graduate Ray Cabot back to his high school campus today. Ray, welcome to you and your wife Amy. Your alma mater is proud to have you back on this campus for this significant occasion, and it's really good to see you.
Thank you, Jay, for that remarkably kind introduction. As Jay indicated, I am speaking to you today because I represent a very small intersection of the Venn diagram of SEM graduates, 20-year colleagues of Marty Mooney, and more than 40 years of independent school experience. In fact, I think I'm the only choice, but I am delighted to see friends and colleagues from both schools here today, and some of you here today may be more familiar with my father, who taught English here, and both of my brothers, who were also SEM graduates. In any case, I am truly honored to be with you here to mark this joyful transition. So, since I drove here from New Jersey this morning, I felt that I should bring some wisdom from the Garden State with me. There are many great minds with New Jersey connections. Alexander Hamilton, everything's legal in New Jersey. Walt Whitman, Woodrow Wilson, Thomas Edison, Molly Pitcher, Vince Lombardi, all of these folks have rest areas on the New Jersey Turnpike named for them. They must be significant. But with sincere apologies to each of them, I'm going to begin with a consideration from the mind of one of New Jersey's great philosophers, Bruce Springsteen. Now, those of you with New Jersey connections will note that John Bon Jovi does have his own rest area, but I still thought Springsteen was the more appropriate choice for these remarks. And, as Jay indicated, Bruce Springsteen was a staple of the Ray and Jay shows in the late 1970s. Hold for applause. And I know Mr. Mooney will appreciate the reference. I apologize to any Swifties in the audience or anyone who is more versed in BTS than in a 74-year-old from Freehold, New Jersey, but here we go. At the opening of his Springsteen on Broadway show a few years ago, Bruce Springsteen begins his monologue by outlining the qualities one needs to have should one come face to face with 70,000 screaming rock and roll fans. I realize we have far fewer than 70,000 people here today, but the audience is no less intimidating to me at this moment, and particularly after hearing all of the voices that we've already heard from today. It's been many years since I sat in Louise Moore's speech and debate class, not far from here, but I'll do my best. Now, Springsteen goes on in that introduction to confess that he comes from a New Jersey shore town, and he says everything from the New Jersey shore can be seen as tinged with a hint of fraud. And if you've been to a boardwalk town, you'll understand the reference. And I understand that there may be some of you in the audience who think that anybody who serves as director of admission is similarly tainted by a hint of fraud. But like Springsteen, I will endeavor to speak the truth as I see it and to tell my story. And I hope to connect my school, our school, to your new head of school. I have great affection for both. I have known both for many years. But before I begin talking about Mr. Mooney, I have a confession to make. My initial reaction when I heard that he was leaving Petty to take on the headship at Bridgeton Academy, the school he was at before Wyoming Seminary. As you've heard, I'd known Marty since he arrived at Petty in 1997. We had worked together in the college office, served together on the administrative team at Petty for many years. The Mooneys were our next-door neighbors. And I knew that he was interested in a new opportunity. In fact, I had spoken with their search committee, the Bridgeton Search Committee, as a reference. So the news that he's gotten a job, the new job, was not a surprise. But my first reaction was, oh crap, Danny's leaving. Now, I love Marty. And I was genuinely sad to learn that he would be moving on to that new challenge. But Danny seemed irreplaceable. Not only is she a wonderful person and a great friend, her level of preparation for any situation is legendary. Mine is not. And we always knew that if anything happened, famine, flood, natural disaster, Danny would know what to do, and Danny would be thoroughly prepared. And while I may be overstating that disaster planning a little bit, not really, I can't overstate how fortunate SEM is to have Danny as well as Marty. I suspect that many of you have already seen how thoughtful, attentive to detail, and committed Danny is in all that she tackles. She is remarkable for her kindness, empathy, and willingness to serve others, both within whatever school community she is associated with and beyond. And if you'll permit one more editorial comment, while their ages mean that their children, Catherine, Megan, and Harry, will not have the same impact on this community that they had on the Petty School as students, the entire Mooney family will be an asset to the SEM family. You are truly fortunate to have Marty and Danny as well as the rest of the Mooney family. So I thank Marty for inviting me to speak at this installation, even if I was the only one on the list. But for the moment, this ceremony is not only about Mr. Mooney. It's about connecting Mr. Mooney to the past, the present, and the future of Wyoming Seminary. So before I speak in detail about Marty, I want to take this opportunity, and it's been a while since I've been back, to thank my school, Wyoming Seminary, for all that it has given to me and all that it has meant to me for more than 50 years. I began my connection, as Jay said, to SEM in 1972 as a new student, a faculty brat, if you will, in the 5th grade at what was then known as the Wyoming Seminary Day School. For the next 8 years, I was embraced, challenged, supported, transformed by Wyoming Seminary. And although the current mission statement of the school was not in place then, in fact, I believe Mr. Mooney had an impact as it was improved this past year, the sentiment expresses are wholly fitting. Wyoming Seminary inspires students to lead lives of integrity, purpose, and excellence by developing the critical skills and spirit of community necessary to succeed and serve in a global society. I believe that the habits, skills, and commitment to community I learned at Wyoming Seminary have influenced my 42 years as an independent school educator, a coach, a parent, and a citizen. Central to that SEM experience were the relationships I forged with the faculty and staff, some of whom I know are here today. I saw firsthand how much my father invested in every English essay he read, and in the classroom, on the athletic fields, and around campus, the faculty at SEM were the most important elements in my growth. Saw Jack Idem today. He signed my letter of admission, and we have since reunited as admission colleagues. We even traveled to Slovakia together a few years ago. Faculty like Phil Post, Carver Collins, Jim Kersey, Marvin Tinas, Chuck Wall, Charlotte Levy, Ms. Podesta, I still can't refer to her as Patricia, and many, many more were the backbones of SEM when I was here. Names like Nagley, Miller, Vida, Quick, Vandenberg, and I know I saw even more folks, Swanson, here today. All those names still resonate with me. My subsequent work as a teacher has been directly influenced by my time at SEM and these role models. And I am certain that the current faculty, who I have yet to meet, is equally essential in bringing the mission of the school to life each day and to creating meaningful experiences for each student. So sincere thanks to all at Wyoming Seminary who have had such an impact on me, and to the current faculty. If you ever wonder if what you are doing makes a difference, please know that it does. So let's talk about the present day and Mr. Mooney. Now, I'll acknowledge that these are trying times for independent schools as we all try to navigate a post-pandemic world. The challenges posed by technology, everything from AI to cell phones, are profound. The impacts of the pandemic on the intellectual and social development of children continue to be felt in classrooms everywhere. National demographics suggest there will be fewer school-age children in the coming years. Rising tuition rates and increased demands for financial assistance are challenges to every budget at an independent school. And to provide some context from beyond the valley, I'm the director of admission at a school where the day student tuition is $66,000 a year. Other external forces, ranging from the increased expectations of some parents, the impact of NIL money and the transfer portal on collegiate athletics, trickling down to high schools, all of these are potential threats. And leadership turnover complicates the ability of any school to face these challenges with the vision and consistency necessary to guide an institution through these challenging times. Therefore, it is even more essential that an independent school be blessed with steady, thoughtful, and principled leadership. And Marty Mooney is the right leader for Wyoming Seminary at this moment in the school's history. While there is much I could say about Marty and his leadership and his character, I'm going to focus on two elements. First, I believe it is essential that a school leader be a good match for the mission, values, and vision of the institution he or she leads. In a variety of roles, teacher, coach, residential life, dean of faculty, advisor, I have seen that Marty embodies the core values of Wyoming Seminary: passion for learning, leading, and serving, integrity, respect, responsibility, soundness of mind, body, and spirit. These all describe Marty. Marty engages directly and positively with all members of a community, with students, teachers, coaches, dorm parents, staff members, parents, trustees. He recognizes that community must be built, and a strong community depends on clear leadership. He will ensure that Wyoming Seminary continues to be guided by a search for the true, the beautiful, and the good. And we've heard that phrase today. Another great strength of Mr. Mooney is that he gets things done. In my conversation with the Bridgeton Academy Search Committee, my endorsement of Marty was that he was a problem solver and he gets things done. He has the mind of an analyst and a focus on finding solutions to any problems that are identified. The SEM community has already seen evidence of this aspect of Marty's leadership in all that has been accomplished in just 1 year. The PAIS accreditation, which we hope will go well. The self-study has been completed. The visiting team is arriving in February. That's no small achievement on its own. The creation and rollout of a new strategic plan, the acquisition of Susquehanna Prep. He brought on a new director of enrollment. By the way, Keith Fisher and I have had numerous conversations, and you're lucky to have him as well. A new director of advancement, a director of athletics, All of this while working with a new board chair and strengthening the governance of the school. That's a remarkable first year, and I expect Marty will continue to move SEM forward in the coming years with his steady, thoughtful, and committed leadership. So to complete this address, I felt I should return to the words of Bruce Springsteen, although I know Mr. Mooney is a fan of the Dropkick Murphys and U2 and some other choices. But Born to Run was the go-to song, in addition to YMCA and Disco Inferno, for the Ray and Jay shows in the late 70s, so I thought he might be ideal, and I started with that. But the sentiment, "Oh, baby, this town rips the bones from your back, it's a death trap, it's a suicide rap, we gotta get out while we're young, 'cause tramps like us, baby, we were born to run," didn't seem to fit this moment. So I considered another Springsteen classic, Thunder Road. But that concludes with the line, "So Mary, climb in, it's a town full of losers, and I'm pulling out of here to win." That might be a fitting sentiment to solidify the courtship outlined in the song, but it's not really the message I wanted to end here either. And as I combed through the choices, it seemed like a song with a title like No Surrender, that must be the right choice. No surrender. Stick with it. But alas, the first verse proclaims, well, we busted out of class, had to get away from those fools. We learned more from a 3-minute record, baby, than we ever learned in school. So strike 3 on the Springsteen reference for this occasion. And as drew closer to this installation, I was at a loss for a meaningful connection, until Danny and Marty joined my wife and me at a Springsteen concert in Philadelphia 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago today, as a matter of fact. And the concert set list included many classic Springsteen tunes, but I was struck by a song that, in my experience, is rarely included in his live performances. In Reason to Believe, the characters, as in the case of many Springsteen songs, face many challenges, financial, in relationships, in life. But in Reason to Believe, as each poignant obstacle is laid out, the verse concludes with the sentiment, at the end of every hard-earned day, people find some reason to believe. At the end of every hard-earned day, people find some reason to believe. Now, for many years, I sat where you are, at least symbolically, and heard Dr. Stetler recount the story of how in 1844, a small group of Methodists gathered at the corner of what is now Market and Sprague. Sound familiar to anyone? But in thinking about it, I am sure that those folks found some reason to believe in what they were creating all those years ago. At the end of every hard-earned day, people find some reason to believe. And in 1972, although I probably didn't realize it at the time, my younger self needed to find reason to believe in a school I had yet to attend, in a place that had been recently devastated by a hurricane and flood, but we came anyway. And at the end of every hard-earned day, people find some reason to believe. And here today, at the installation of Marty Mooney as head of school, I think that gives me, and hopefully gives us all, reason to believe in the future of Wyoming Seminary, our school. At the end of every hard-earned day, people find some reason to believe. Now, sometimes it takes a leap of faith to get things started, but I am confident that under Marty Mooney's steady, principled, and committed leadership, the school will stay focused on its mission and values, will continue its pursuit of the true, the beautiful, and the good. I offer my full endorsement of Mr. Mooney. I wish him and Wyoming Seminary nothing but the best as we move forward together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Before we turn it over to the man of the hour, I thought it would be appropriate to share with you some thoughts from the vantage point of your Board of Trustees. Before I do that, and I weighed whether or not I should share this with you, but I'm going to risk it and do so. As I was preparing my comments, I turned to my ever-adoring wife and asked her for some feedback. And she gave me the following counsel. She said, don't try to be funny, don't try to be witty, and don't try to be charming. Just be yourself. So with that, I will try to make this as dry and succinct as possible. Obviously, welcoming a new leader is certainly a milestone in the history of the school, but somehow right now it seems so much more so today as we welcome Marty and Danny and celebrate them joining our community. All of us have ties to the school of one sort or another, many that span multiple generations, students, parents, grandparents, alumni, trustees, staff, et cetera. We've seen the school successfully overcome challenges like the Agnes flood that Ray referred to. I happen to have lived through that as well. And it's no secret that in more recent years, we've also faced other considerable challenges, most notably COVID and multiple school leadership changes. With those things now in our rearview mirror, I'm really pleased today to declare on behalf of the board, confidently declare on behalf of the board, that we are most certainly in the early stages of a really exciting new era for the school. And we are confident that SEM's unique position and enduring value, 180 years of enduring value, will guide us successfully into the future. As Ray alluded to, this past year has been filled with lots of activity, much of which goes unseen by all or many of us. I've come to learn that the role of a school head is significantly more challenging than I ever realized prior to having a close vantage point. On one level, it encompasses, the usual, the everyday, operational, academic, financial, fundraising, organizational, disciplinary matters, basically keeping the trains running on time. But those tasks alone, although they're all-consuming responsibilities, they are not what truly makes a difference for a school and the role of the head. That is the ability to prepare the school for the future. And in his first year, Marty has jumped, as Ray alluded to, has jumped right into both aspects of the job, the everyday and the long term. With active engagement and support from the board, he has initiated the development of a comprehensive strategic plan, which will help define and guide our future in the years ahead. Importantly, this initiative started with something that we perhaps have not done enough of in the past, and that is extensive outreach to all the constituents represented here today to help clarify for us an honest and clear-eyed understanding of who we are, what we do well, where we need to improve, our opportunities, and what we want the future to look like. The outcome has been the identification at the initial stage of 5 overarching goals for our future, and I just want to share those with you for a moment. First, to ensure program innovation and strength across academics, athletics, and extracurricular activities. Second, to support the faculty and staff that bring it all to life. Third, to build a strong and engaged SEM community. We need the engagement of everyone here. To get the great message about SEM out to the world beyond northeastern Pennsylvania. And lastly, and as an old finance person, for me perhaps most important, to achieve and maintain financial sustainability, which underpins all of these other goals. So part of that strategic process, as Ray mentioned, we acquired Susquehanna Prep, which we anticipate will help continue to drive growth and expand our reach and service to the community. While we've simultaneously begun to identify some programmatic, operational, and financial areas that will receive attention. But this is just the very beginning of what will be a multi-year process that will require the support and engagement of everyone here. We're identifying areas in which we can improve as we face many of the same demographic and economic challenges that Ray referred to, that all independent schools face. However, we believe without question that SEM's place as a unique and vital institution in northeastern Pennsylvania positions the school extremely well for the future. There is still a lot of work to be done to develop specific initiatives that will bring our goals to life, and we're committed to doing that, and doing so on an ambitious timetable. So take those 5 goals and figure out how we're going to make it come to life. We approach this job with the knowledge that the challenges and environment that we face are continually evolving, so stay tuned as we prepare for SEM to soon enter its 3rd century. Now, of course, ambitious plans can't succeed without strong leadership, and that is why I'm particularly pleased to welcome Marty. After an exhaustive and candidly sometimes difficult search process, we're extremely fortunate to have persuaded Marty and Danny, and I might add one other member of the family that's not been mentioned, Sam, their dog, to join the SEM community and take on the leadership challenges at SEM. Although this is Marty's formal installation, as you all know, he's been fully immersed in the role for over a year, demonstrating his commitment and vision from the start. He's been working tirelessly, truly, and I would say always, or maybe almost always, with a smile on his face, to get to know us and what makes SEM unique. He's already a well-recognized and very visible presence on campus and in the community, and his impact is certainly already being felt. As you know, Marty brings with him an extensive background in the independent school world, having served in a variety of academic and administrative roles. I won't go through them all. Ray's already talked about them. Importantly, Marty has proven to be already a steady hand, a thoughtful leader, and more than anything else, a person who is guided by strong personal values, a genuine affinity for students, and a guiding sense of obligation to do what is best for the students. Just spend a little time with Marty, and inevitably, you will hear him ground his thinking and always come back to what is best for the students. So before I turn things over to him, I'd just like to share a brief observation. When hiring a leader, we all know a resume and an interview process can only reveal so much. It's only through working closely together that we truly understand a leader's capabilities. Marty's candor, work ethic, and thoughtful approach, bias for action, have all proven to be just what we hoped for. In my tenure on this board, and it's been considerable, I've never seen such a constructive gut dialogue, collaborative decision-making, and confidence in the leadership that Marty has provided, truly. Marty, we thank you for all that. So, again, this can't be stressed too much. With everyone's generous support and collaboration, we look forward to this new chapter for SEM. Please join me in welcoming Marty and Danny as they officially assume their roles in our community. I will now turn it over to the man of the hour. Have fun.
I'm going to go off the script for a second. Does anyone have a water? I'm not kidding. So, if anyone could go, is that Mike O'Neill? Thank you. I had no doubt. It's good that I had this. You're going to want to hear what I have to say. You better. Before I get started, I have to share so many acknowledgments. And being here, at Wyoming Seminary, you spend a year here before they install you. And Ray turned to me and said, "You can't back out now, buddy." In that year, and obviously in the past months getting ready for this day, there's so many people. So please just bear with me. I really want to recognize so many. First, to our faculty and our staff, you're the engine that makes everything else here go. Thank you for what you give to our students and what you've shared with Danny and me for over the last 16 months. Thank you to our Board of Trustees for your thoughtful stewardship of the school throughout this transition. I especially want to thank Tara Mugford Wilson, who chaired the search committee that brought us here, our board chair, John Dowd, and our past board chair, Bill Sordoni, for his calm and patient presence in that spring of 23 as we were making our way from Maine. Thank you to Tony for being our master of ceremonies today, and for your good humor, your love of STEM, and your tough questions. To our faculty and our trustees emeriti, your legacy lives on in our work and with the shared values of this community. You're the embodiment of the true, the beautiful, and the good. I want to recognize the installation committee. All of their names are in the programs, but Tara, thank you for chairing that committee. Rachel, Kathy, Cheryl, Janet, Jill, Danny, Shannon, Matt, Rob. This was a Herculean effort. And I want to thank especially Jack Idem, not only for his great work on the committee, but also for sharing his wealth of institutional knowledge with me since I arrived. And of course, special thanks to Nicole Brogan for doing so much of the heavy lifting, coordinating, and communicating to make this happen. Danny and I are both grateful for everything you do for SEM and have done for us. Thank you to the senior leadership team, Keith Fisher, Bart Bolich, and of course, Kathy Hanlon, Cheryl Connolly, Rachel Bartron, and Janet Murray. To Patty Paschotti, Dan Hall, Tyler Harvey, thank you for your work and the gift of music today, and to all the members of the combined chorus. Thank you, guys. Well done. And you guys are so patient having to listen to all this. To all the people who work behind the scenes, what you see today does not just happen. And so I'm grateful to our security staff, housekeeping, Rob and Mike from the Mets team, and especially our facilities and maintenance staff, not only for everything they've done to set up for today, but what they do every day to set us up for success. So thank you all. To our friends and former colleagues who've made the trip to the Valley today, from the Hill School, from Petty, from Dartmouth, from Long Beach, New York. I think you guys are here. You are family, maybe not by blood, but certainly by blood, sweat, and tears. To everyone at Bridgeton Academy up in Maine, it was a privilege to work alongside you for 6 years, and I'll never forget you. Speaking of Maine, Reverend Carrick, thank you for your blessing today. Thank you to our speakers. To Chi, I'm so grateful. Kate, thank you. You represent the highest ideals of our faculty and our students, and I'm humbled by your words and by your love of SEM. Jay, thank you for bridging a number of different worlds and relationships in your introduction of Ray. Ray Cabot, for more than 25 years, you've been a trusted friend, colleague, neighbor, and a sage at times when I needed it the most. Thank you for all that, and thank you for today. To my family here today, I want them to hear it too. Catherine, Megan, and Harry, overwhelming pride doesn't really come close to capturing my feelings about you three. To see you become kind, intelligent, and sometimes even mature adults is all Mom and I could ever have wished for. To our son-in-law, Will, one of Somerville, Mass's bravest, to Sonali and to Zach, and to my mother-in-law, Barbara, we're blessed to have you in our lives, and I'm honored that you're here today. And to my brother and his family, and my mom up in Poughkeepsie, they could not be here today, but I'm thinking of you as well. Danny, my partner in life, partner in parenting, partner in crime, my best friend, and the person I most want to take me out for breakfast on the weekends. Anything I'm able to do in this work or in this world, I do it better because of you. Before I get into my remarks, I would like to take a minute to remember a friend of Wyoming Seminary and a friend of mine, Jerry Larson, whom we lost last week. A former head himself, Jerry worked closely with Tara and with the search committee on the process that led to me standing before you today. While he was an excellent search consultant, he was perhaps even better at helping boards navigate the sometimes turbulent waters that come with changes in leadership. I know I speak for the board and Wyoming Seminary when I say that we will miss him. All right, so I have to say, I'm not comfortable with any of this. And I know, I picked the wrong job if being at the center of attention is a problem. At a certain point this summer, Danny got tired of hearing it from me and said, in her way, okay, 3 things. 1, it isn't only about you. 2, get over yourself. And 3, think of it this way. You have all your friends, family, and colleagues coming to say nice things about you. It's like your funeral, except you get to be there. So that cheered me up. And here we are. I have a few goals today: to introduce or reintroduce myself to the SEM community, to show off Wyoming Seminary to all the folks who've traveled to the Valley today, to talk about our work here and our plans for the future, and finally to share with you what I believe about Wyoming Seminary, about teaching, and the inherent promise of this education. If you'll indulge me a little bit, though, in sharing my origin story about why I became a teacher, I want to tell you a little bit about my father. My view of the world, curiosity, sensibilities, values, so much of it begins with him. Dad did not come from any of this pomp and circumstance, but he would have gotten a big kick out of today. My father was a union iron worker in New York City, and the picture I have of him in my mind, he always has a book nearby: historical fiction, political thrillers, crime, spy novels, Michener, Leon Uris, Ken Follett. Dad didn't go to college, but he's one of the smartest people I've ever known. He liked to know about the world. He liked to learn about people and places outside of his own experience. And maybe above all, he liked to talk about these things. When you visited my house and Big Marty was home, you could easily end up in a conversation about the Boer War, or the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire, or Nixon's China policy, whether you wanted to be in those conversations or not. And I imagine some of you, especially my kids, feel like maybe I inherited some of that. Growing up with that example, teaching always felt like the right thing for me. So I wish he could be here for this event, because I'm pretty sure he would have loved both SEM and the Wyoming Valley for their values, for their history, and especially for the sense of resilience. In many ways, the Valley's history is the history of America. Colonialism, violence during the Revolutionary period, and the changes that came throughout the 19th century. We're sitting on top of the largest anthracite coal fields in the world. There are mines as deep as 1,000 feet right below where you're sitting. And of course, the coal industry has its own complicated history. While we grapple today with the environmental and human costs of mining, we also have to acknowledge that coal was the fuel that powered the Industrial Revolution, that brought jobs and prosperity to this region, and that made a better life possible for generations of immigrants who built their lives here in Northeast Pennsylvania. The resilience of this valley is perhaps most evident in the aftermath of the 1972 flood. Hurricane Agnes came up the East Coast and made landfall in my hometown of Long Beach, New York, on June 22nd. The resulting flooding in Pennsylvania was massive and caused more than $2 billion in destruction, and that's in 1972 dollars. If you were sitting where you are now in 1972, there would be about 6 to 8 feet of water above your heads. To give you a little bit more perspective on the extent of the damage, the river is more than a mile away. SEM suffered significant damage across campus, the worst of which being the loss of Nelson Chapel, which used to stand at the center of the upper school campus on Sprague Avenue. Only the bell tower now remains. But for me, and I believe for generations of students as well as for so many of you, the Nelson Tower stands as a symbol of the spirit and determination of both the Valley and of Wyoming Seminary. It stands defiantly in the face of storms of all kinds. Rightly so, it is the central iconic space at the upper school campus. It's no stretch to say that SEM's resilience has been tested in the last 5 years as well, owing to COVID and multiple changes in leadership. Managing all the pandemic and post-COVID challenges were hard enough for every school, even with the most consistent leadership. It's a testament to the dedication and resilience of everyone at SEM that you were able to serve our students so well during that difficult time. There's a promise we make in this work, and whether we say it explicitly or not, you all kept that promise. Keeping that promise guided us through the pandemic and the flood, and it is evident in the lives of every one of our graduates. Whether you are here as a lifer or even as one year as a PG, it would be impossible to graduate without being affected by the tremendous spirit of our school. I'm inspired by people like Joe Donchis of the class of 1926, who came to us as a 9th grader after dropping out of school in Western Pennsylvania in the 6th grade to help support his family as an electrician. Donchis came to Kingston in the fall of 1922 as a freshman, needing to make up 2 years of schoolwork. Dr. Sprague recognized his potential and awarded him a scholarship. Donchis would go on to the University of Pittsburgh, where he's an All-American in football, before going on to med school, ultimately becoming the chief surgeon for U.S. Steel. Our highest award for alumni service is named in his honor. This promise lives on in the work of Howard Gardner, class of 1961, whose theory of multiple intelligences challenged the prevailing view of intelligence as a single fixed attribute, opening up a variety of new and creative ways to reach students. As accomplished a scholar as he is, Dr. Gardner credits his time at SEM as having laid the foundation for a life serving teachers and education. He wrote to me recently saying his experience in a senior seminar, quote, changed my understanding of what writing and scholarship are all about. This summer, we all saw the realization of this promise as we watched Kennedy Blades, class of 2022, earn a silver medal in wrestling at the Paris Olympics. In 2020, at the end of her sophomore year here at SEM, she was runner-up at the Olympic trials before breaking through this year in the 76 kilogram weight class. Kennedy said, quote, Wyoming Seminary taught me about accountability. That was the biggest thing I took away. I was even more impressed by Kennedy's sense of responsibility, of being a role model. As she said, quote, to show these girls that anything is possible, that opportunities open up and life-changing scenarios can happen. There are thousands of stories about the way Wyoming Seminary changed the lives of its graduates. They may not involve Olympic medals or paradigm-breaking theories, but these stories matter just as much to each and every one who tells them. In order to provide the SEM experience to future generations, in order to keep our promise, we have to have a plan, which Tony alluded to. And so over the past year, we've worked hard on our mission and to set in place strategies to make good on our promise to our students, to our faculty, and to both the local and global SEM communities. You'll see more details about this work later in the fall, but they comprise 5 pillars. First, our commitment to teaching, to measuring progress, to innovative courses, enlarging our programs in climate change, academic concentrations, and science research, and developing new ways to better connect our students to the many resources, businesses, and people, organizations in the Valley. Strong and innovative programs, however, do not only live in the academic realm. Our residential program, the arts, and athletics are all integral parts of our mission. As such, my goal for SEM is to be the first place students and parents consider when looking for the kind of life-changing experiences we offer both in and out of the classroom. Our second pillar is about our people. We're committed to the consistent, intentional, and mission-driven development of our faculty. Our goals are to increase our hiring outreach, to build the resources necessary for more competitive compensation, and provide much more funding for professional development and growth. A strong community is at the heart of everything we do, and our work in this area is the third pillar in our plan. Guided by our mission and core values, our priority is to instill in everyone on all of our campuses a sense of safety, well-being, and belonging. We want our students to move on from SEM, to be the community builders, the ones who work tirelessly to stitch together the fabric of the towns, cities, and neighborhoods they call home. Our fourth pillar speaks to the work necessary to tell our story better and to a wider audience in support of admissions work and fundraising in our place as one of the oldest and most trusted institutions in the Valley. Finally, the fifth pillar is designed to coordinate our efforts to pay for it all. With our eyes forward, we will be putting together both a long-range financial plan as well as a campus master plan to ensure that SEM will have the capacity and the foundation to achieve its mission many years into the future. A big part of that strategy is in our work in development, particularly the essential work of preparing for a capital campaign and in building up the SEM Fund. Speaking of which, as luck would have it, we're kicking off this year's fund very shortly, so please don't be shy. I stopped myself from putting a QR code on a screen. I was thinking of it and I thought, maybe not, Marty. This plan is just a start. There's lots of work ahead of us, of course, but I'm proud that we are taking these important steps to secure the future of our school. As I get into the home stretch, it is with our faculty in mind that I'd like to focus my last thoughts. Everyone else can listen. Verum, pulchrum bonum. The true, the beautiful, and the good. You've heard this today. Our motto is an expression of both our guiding principles and the loftiest goals for our students. Rather than drill down into these words, I want to look at them collectively as the ideals to which we aspire and what this aspiration has to do with SEM's promise. In the 30-some-odd years I've been in this business, education has been through a lot. We have had to display an incredible amount of flexibility and openness to change. And if not openness, at least tolerance of it. Between technology, the changing expectations of the family's financial busts and booms, a worldwide pandemic, we have had to zig and zag quite often. But no matter what, we've approached our challenges head on. Why? Because we made a promise. As teachers, you came to understand, though maybe not embrace, things like email and electronic grading books and AOL Instant Messenger and spreadsheet programs and PowerPoint, Twitter, and all the rest, because you knew that was the way the world was going, and you made a promise. During COVID, you did whatever you had to do to fulfill your promise, whether it was Zoom classes, social distancing, enforcing mask wearing. You'd have to go back 100 years to the last time we had seen a pandemic on this scale. But you knew that your students were counting on you, so you did everything you could to provide an effective learning environment for them. You made a promise. You keep your promise because you know that we have the most important job in the world. Is there anything more important than a parent knowing their child is being taught and nurtured and kept safe each and every day? Is there anything more important for young people than learning about their world and even more so themselves? Is there anything more important for our future than preparing our students to be thoughtful problem solvers, to live by the words of John Wesley, to do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can? What I've learned about the Methodists in the last year is they're pretty direct people. And you can see this inscription on a wonderful steel sculpture, the entrance to the school by Swetland Hall in Market Street. Our promise then is this: the ideals of truth, beauty, and goodness will not only outlast the challenges that come our way, they will ultimately help us to overcome them. As a K-12 school, this matters to us a great deal. For our youngest, we want them to tell the truth, to create and appreciate beauty, and to understand right from wrong. And as they get older, we want them to hold these beliefs and also to understand that truth is never simple, beauty can be highly subjective, and that reasonable adults can disagree on what constitutes moral behavior. This idea about a mature appreciation of our values came home to me, Ray, at a Bruce Springsteen show a couple weeks ago. You could have bet on this. Listening to his song, The Promised Land. I'm pretty sure Bruce wasn't talking about Wyoming Seminary. But when he sings, "Mr. I Ain't a Boy, No, I'm a Man, and I Believe in the Promised Land," it shed some light for me on this last point. Belief in the Promised Land, belief in the higher ideals of things like truth and beauty and goodness is hard, especially as we become older and we understand more about the complexities in the world and have our own questions and our own growing pains. In Bruce's view, and in mine, to be an adult, to face what he calls the howling dogs of your existence, and to still believe and to live your highest ideals, that's the ultimate measure of our success at being human. And isn't that what the most important job in the world should be about? Our mission is not only to teach our students to live lives of integrity, purpose, and excellence. It's not only to prepare them for the rigors of college and beyond. It's not only to guide them to become compassionate adults and leaders in their communities. Everything we do is in the service of the lasting values represented by the true, the beautiful, and the good, because it is in these values that we find the joy, the light, the music, the friendships, the ideas, the faith, the hope, and the love that gives us all purpose in the adventure that is their lives. If our students hold unshaken their faith in these foundational ideas, then we will more than have kept our promise. When I began this speech, I talked about my own discomfort at being the center of all this attention. But I'm very comfortable saying this. Wyoming Seminary is one of the great schools in this country. I know great schools, work with great teachers. I know what they do, and I know what they believe. That's who we are. We've been doing this since 1844. That kind of longevity is not just a year on the letterhead, and it's not an accident. We are one of the oldest and most important educational institutions in Northeast Pennsylvania for a reason, and that reason is you. So let me leave you with this. In Tennyson's Ulysses, Odysseus says, "All experience is an arch wherethrough gleams that untraveled world." Holding on tightly to the strength and traditions of our past, let today mark and celebrate our vision for tomorrow. Let's pass joyfully and together through this arch into that untraveled world, the vast, open, and exciting possibility of our future. Thank you.
Okay, Marty, thank you for your thoughts and your talent now and well into the future. So, I'm going to wrap it up. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, the Installation Committee, the Mooney family, and everyone involved in today's program, I thank you for being a part of this momentous occasion in the history of the school. Following the singing of the alma mater, we invite Catherine, Megan, and Harry Mooney to ring the Cokesbury bell 15 times, once for each head of school. Following the ringing of the bell, Reverend Carrick will offer the benediction. The academic procession will then lead us to the reception, and I might add, for those of you who are around in the aforementioned Wally Stetler's tenure, the new president or head of school has a different attitude towards beverages at the reception, so we can all look forward to that. Please rise for the singing of the alma mater, led by Wyoming Seminary's upper and lower school ensembles.
The Susquehanna's waters kiss the golden sands, mid the hills of fair Wyoming, alma mater stands, just beyond the busy humming of the bustling throng. With her head raised high to heaven, looks she calmly on. Raise chorus speed, onward loud her praises sing. Hail to thee, our alma mater. Hail, dear Wyoming.
And now, my lovelies, may the God of hope fill us all with joy and peace. May we leave this space trusting that God calls to us from the future and that God's plans for us are for our well-being. May we walk in the path God directs, that we might overflow with love and so be a blessing to all in need. Amen and amen.